Bliss, everyone. Bliss, bliss, bliss. Welcome, welcome, welcome to a brand new weekly reading. Rissa Vibes here, aka Readings by Rissa. Let me know if you can hear me well. You guys hear me now? All right, y'all. I got it. All right. Okay, you guys. Sorry, it took me a second. I always forget the button on my microphone. But we got it. Welcome to another weekly reading. Rissa Vibes here, aka Readings by Rissa. So excited to connect with you as always. Today we are tapping into our week ahead to really just download the messages from Spirit and from Source and from Mother Earth, all about how to navigate our week with the most grace and efficiency. And I'm super excited because we also have a full moon tomorrow, full moon in Scorpio. So some of you may already be feeling that full moon energy. Some of you may be kind of, starting to initiate some things within your life with that energy, or let go of some things in your life with that energy. There's a lot to talk about there. So this is going to be a really loaded reading, and I'm super excited to tap in with all of you, especially now that I got the sound working. All right, so I am super excited because I first want to always review the energy of last week. And I feel like the energy of last week was really, really great at prepping us for this week. And so I want to just do a quick review because that is super important. Now, last week we pulled the past lives card, which was encouraging us to do some deep diving into our past here in this present life that can sometimes feel like a past life to us, and also do some digging in our actual past lives if we're feeling called to it. Now, when we dig into our past lives or our past in general, we start to activate more of an awareness of how we can move forward with the gifts and the skills we have learned from those experiences and amplify our ability to succeed with those skills and gifts. Okay, so we start to learn how our past helps us create our future and helps us be more successful in our future. And then in the middle of the week, we pulled the cleansing card. So that was letting us know, okay, it's time to clear, it's time to let go, it's time to cleanse and get really back into that feeling of pure essence of yourself and pure essence of your connection. And that's a really great energy, of course, because when we get cleansed, we end up feeling a lot more clear in everything in our life. And then at the end of the week, we had the inspired passion card. And that was really activating a fire in us and reminding us that our passions are important. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive in to this week's messages. How is everybody doing? Let me know where you're tuning in from. Let me know how you're feeling today. I see some people joining. Nikki is here. Follow Arrow is here. Candace, Susan, Marie, Leslie. Good to see all of you. I'm so happy to have you here. And this week's reading, like I said, it's a big one. So let's go ahead and just jump right in because I have so much to cover and I want to keep it relatively short, okay, within the hour at least. So first message that I want to read specifically because it was a pretty strong download, and it was pretty specific to the wording, and that's why I like to use notes, because sometimes when I'm connecting to spirit and the mass collective energy and I'm reading the energy of the present moment, sometimes it does come through in a download of just instant knowing or a vision or a kind of feeling within myself. But then other times it does come out through automatic writing and this energy of channeling it through writing. So I'm going to read this specifically and then we'll dive into it. And it says, things are moving finally. Can you feel the engine started, the train going, the fuel burning at just the right speed and frequency? The renewal from rebirth is now flowing into our external experience and showing us more of ourselves and our potential. The flow that we are experiencing, this cycle, is going to continue. But we're really noticing with this quote and with what I kind of wrote here is we're actually understanding the mechanics behind moving energy and using it to our advantage in a way where we're not manipulating energy, but we're really kind of working with it. We're starting to kind of learn how to accept, certain things that are in flow and how to maneuver around it if it's something that we weren't expecting, and how to adapt and how to accept change. And all of this is allowing us to take traction in our progress and movement forward, because we're no longer resisting things that are a part of our movement forward, including the challenges, including the things that are sometimes unexpected, but definitely necessary for our progress. And so when we start to move with that energy instead of fight it, we end up moving much more quickly and much more productively and much more efficiently. And so it becomes something that has a nice flow. It's like a beautifully well-run engine. Everything is working with itself and with each other to make the whole entire vessel keep going, right? The vision, the vessel, the project, the dream, the goal, whatever it is for you, it keeps it going. Okay. So allowing yourself to notice how that rebirth and that renewal of this past 3 weeks and continuing into this next week until, towards the end of the week, just recognizing how that renewal and how the rebirth has started to start your engine. It started to create movement. It started to allow you to make decisions quicker and, claim your power and claim your ability to create your reality and to make decisions you need to make, and to not be stagnant, but instead to move and do something. That is a beautiful thing. And that's something we've been talking about for the past several months that we've been waiting for. And now it's finally here and things are finally moving. So really honoring that and noticing how things are moving in your life and noticing what direction they're moving into, but also allowing yourself to just let it flow, because that is what has led you here to a place of finding more efficiency in your movement and work with your energy and the experience of it. So we're becoming the masters of change with this. We're becoming the masters of change. We're learning how to detach. We're learning how to attach to more beneficial things in our life. We're learning also how to be the spirit in the body instead of the body that is in this, connected to the spirit. Because when we're the spirit in the body, we're claiming our ability to take control internally to affect the external. And so things in our external experience, though they may be hard or difficult or challenging, we have this new wisdom and we react differently because we know that we can do something internally to make it a little bit more graceful of an experience. And so this is how we're becoming the masters of change. And I encourage you to recognize your progress in this, because a lot of us are still experiencing some of those feelings of frustration with ourselves, that we're maybe not exactly doing it as effectively or accurately as we'd like to, or we're having problems kind of feeling a little stubborn in our energy with accepting, the small wins, because we want the big wins so badly. So pay attention to that, and just take some time this week, especially this week, to recognize your progress, because that allows you to refuel with self-love and self-care and self-certainty and affirmation that can help you feel a lot more sure of yourself, a lot more confident, and a lot more courageous as we move into this next week. Because this next week may not be the easiest week, but it will be a transformative week for our highest good. So I encourage you to start now saying those things to yourself, to self-affirm and to make yourself recognize how far you've come and how well you are doing. Okay, even if you feel like you're not doing as well as you could, honor how well you are doing. Notice what you have been doing. That's wonderful. Notice how just your openness to receive and to be better is an amazing and awesome thing to acknowledge. Okay, that's going to help a lot for the next week. Now, in that, we are going to have a few more cycles of rebirth and renewal with this Scorpio full moon. And it is kind of an energy of completion that comes with this, where we're starting to feel the ending of this repeated cycle of death and rebirth, death and rebirth, death and rebirth. We're still going to have that, but we're going to feel like a little bit of the intensity of that cycle start to kind of smooth out and become a little bit more subtle. And as we feel that, it's really not that the rebirth is becoming easier. It's that we're becoming more wise and we're becoming stronger in our ability to react differently and to manage and navigate that energy more smoothly. So just going back to what we just talked about. So this is a beautiful thing. We get to really honor the fact that maybe 10 years ago, our death and rebirth process was so traumatic for us and traumatizing and just tumultuous. But now when we have those rebirth and death experiences, we start to feel more appreciative, we feel more accomplished, we feel more wise, we feel more strong. We don't take it the way we used to. And that is progress. So honor that as well. Now, I always end up getting these messages from Gaia lately that have been really powerful. So I even labeled it Gaia messages because I feel like she's just been speaking so clearly lately. And the biggest message that I have for this week in regards to Gaia, Mother Earth, is the energy of plant medicine. And there's so many things that this can kind of connect to, this topic. There's so many types of plant medicines. A lot of people, when you think of plant medicine, they instantly think of psychotropics or psychedelics or anything that kind of gets you super out of your mind and having visuals and hallucinations and things like that, which definitely there are plant medicines that do that. A lot of them do, but that's not the only ones out there. And so I encourage people to think a little bit more broadly about plant medicines, especially if you've always been a little bit resistant to them because of the psychoactive aspects of them. Because there are plant medicines out there that do not do the psychoactive kind of initiations, activations, and they can still be so helpful. So things like cacao, things like cannabis, things like CBD, herbs, ashwagandha, different mugworts, different kind of plant medicines. These are all plant medicines that have been used for so many years, eras, for healing and for transformation in certain ways. There's plenty of plant medicines out there for anxiety, depression, physical pain, womb wounds, so many things. And what I've been feeling most from Mother Earth is this urge for us to use her medicine and to receive her medicine, because as we receive her medicine, we start to vibrate more with her, and we also start to feel more healed in our physical vessel that allows us to receive more of her nutrients and nurturance, and also more balanced in this experience on this planet. And so these plant medicines, there's such a spectrum from completely mild, non-psychoactive plant medicines and herbs, capsules you can take, things you can do for your brain, things you can take for your circulation, things like this. But then there's also those very psychedelic, like astral realm, consciousness, multidimensional consciousness activating and initiating plant medicines that are also beautiful. So however you may be called to plant medicines, or if you've been feeling a little bit more curious about it, please feel free to start doing your own research. Let your curiosity lead you. I did a live last week on OnlyFans for 420 where I was honoring cannabis and did a little chill, smoke and toke, chill sesh, and we watched my video separate because it was the year anniversary of that. And I talked about intention setting with how I use cannabis and things like that. And I would love to go deeper into the ceremonial uses of cannabis and cacao, which is like another one of my favorite plant medicines that's also pretty mild. And these are things that I'd love to talk about. And so I am going to be talking more about these on my OnlyFans page. So definitely go check that out and make sure you subscribe for free. And go check out the live that I already started with that for 420 because it was super fun. but ultimately recognizing how we may be able to connect deeper with the herbs and the supplements and the things in our world that grow on our earth that can help us through what we've been experiencing lately, the holistic healing modalities that a lot of us have been open to or curious about, but we haven't taken the time to actually dive into. And now is such a beautiful time for that. All right, so notice this. Also, notice if there's any stubborn blockages within you. Plant medicines are really great because they help us release the most stubborn blockages in our body, in our mind, in our heart, in our spirit, and they free us from those blockages. And so they do it really directly. They go right to the blockage, they go right to the source of it, and they clear it for us, and they help us to purge it in whatever way we've been called. And so this is a great purging medicine. It's a great way to cleanse. Like we had that card last week. And so noticing how sometimes, we can feel like this one stubborn energy or this one stubborn perspective or this one stubborn cycle keeps showing up. And sometimes it's the plant medicines and the deep work with that and the kind of isolation and kind of hermit type, you know, uh, transition where we go within and we just allow those plant medicines to work with us and to show us what we need to see in order to clear it. That can be some of the most powerful cleansing moments ever. So this is beautiful. If you've been hearing the whispers of plant medicines, pay attention because there's most likely a lot there for you that will help you clear any blockages or stubborn energies that you've been asking to clear. All right, next message is all about the mind messages. I've been feeling like a lot of energy around the mind. It's been a stubborn mind energy, a lot of people overthinking, overanalyzing, being stuck in mindsets that they wish they didn't have, or just kind of wishing that their mind could not be so neurotic or feeling so out of control. This could be anxiety, this can be stress, this can be just, not knowing what to do. And the biggest message from Spirit on this that I got was to ask yourself a question. And the question is, how can I relax my mind today? And just the idea of relaxing your mind, because your mind is a muscle, recognizing that when you relax your mind, you start to feel that muscle completely release the tension that it's had. And you start to notice how tense your mind has been. And that realization can be a little bit uncomfortable. It can actually cause you to hold on to that tension because the relaxation is just so different. And so I encourage you to pay attention to that and see how you can relax your mind today and every day for the next week, because there is a lot of mental energy holding us to old patterns, old beliefs, old emotions, old cycles, old traumatic experiences that are never going to repeat themselves, but we assume are, and we get freaked out. And so just let your mind relax and find a way to channel your energy from your mind into your heart so that you can use your heart as a filter to cleanse with the power of love any mind energy that has been just stubborn and toxic for you. So let the mind rest. Do some brain balancing work. Chad just came in right before I was writing this, and I had already been starting to write the mind message. And then he came in and she showed me a Tai Chi brain balancing movement, and it was really great. And so look up these things, look up ways to balance the mind and allow that to help you, because you can feel the difference and it really will cause you to feel so much more at peace. So relax the mind muscle regularly, because it is a muscle and we are all being stimulated by everything all at once, and it can feel overstimulating and definitely triggering. So make sure you clear that. And this will help you if you've been having headaches, or if you've been feeling like more tension or pain in the head area, or neck tension, shoulder tension. That's all connected to the mind being overactive as well. And so if you've been having those kind of symptoms, even blurry vision or things like that, this can be because your mind is so overactive that it's so tense, it's not actually fully relaxed and functioning in a graceful way. So this can help with all of that, any mental unrest as well, any insomnia, restlessness at night. This can also help any brain balancing meditations and brain relaxing practices. Okay. For me, I just like to think of the brain as a muscle, and I just imagine myself relaxing that muscle as much as I can. And I encourage myself to relax it more and more and more and more and more. And it feels amazing. So try that and see how you feel, because I think it will really help you this week. The last couple messages I have before we tap into the Scorpio full moon and finish up with some cards is understanding your essence. This helps you to understand your boundaries. Okay, when we understand our essence, we can understand our boundaries. This means that when we recognize what kind of values we have, what kind of beliefs we feel are most true to us, what our heart resonates at vibrationally, we start to recognize what outside of us does not resonate or does not match with those energies, those values, those frequencies, and so forth. And when we can recognize the things that don't match, we can put boundaries up for them, not to push them out or keep them away, but more so to just protect our energy if there's something in those outside forces that are causing us to, trying to cause us to change, or to trying to have us conform, or just causing us an influence that we don't want in our energy field. That's really the most simple way to put it. And so understanding your essence, knowing who you are, what you find true, honoring that, leaning into that, trusting in that, having faith in that, embodying that unapologetically allows you to really, really, really deepen your connection to self so much that you recognize right away anything outside of yourself that is not harmonic. And that's a beautiful thing to have right now in our world, because a lot of things are a bit deceiving on the surface right now, and this has been a theme for about a year or two. But there's a lot of the illusions fading and being unmasked slowly, but there's still just as much as there's illusion being unmasked and information being disclosed, there's also just as much remasking and new deception and new illusion coming in. And so it's more important to just be able to have the intuition and the ability to notice your essence enough and your internal voice enough to be able to kind of separate or distance yourself more so from things that are going to be super contradictory or cause a lot of challenge for you vibrationally in that way. Understanding yourself is the best thing that you can do for yourself in guaranteeing success, because when you understand yourself, you have those moments of awakening constantly where you start to understand more about what you're meant to do, what you most love to do, how you're meant to live, what you're meant to eat. All sorts of things comes from just learning yourself and taking the time to do so. And it is a really beautiful thing. So honor that, because as you understand yourself, you understand your boundaries and you protect your energy and you become more solid in who you are. You become more certain, and it's a great feeling. The last thing that I want to mention, and it kind of goes along with that, is, and it can actually help you to learn more about who you are, is human design. And if you haven't heard of human design before, I encourage you to check out jovianarchive.com. I will definitely put that link in the description of this video, but it's JOVIAN archive, ARCHIVE.com. And you can put in your birth information and get your free chart, and you will find out your human design. And then you can just go on a epic Google search, YouTube search about the stats that you receive from that. This is a beautiful time to research your human design, especially since things are starting to move in traction with what we've started to build for ourselves and step into this new phase of our life. And we can start to kind of use our human design to move into a more harmonic way of life for the things that we're doing and the way that we're meant to live and the way that we are asking to live, right? In balance and harmony and center. So the more you learn about the self, the more information you have to live the best life that's going to give you, the best quality of experience. So find out your human design. It is activated more consciously now. You'll notice, and that's why I wrote it down for this week, you'll notice that the human design energy is really strong this week if you already know your human design. And I say that really to say that, I mean, it's strong in the way that you are noticing how much you reflect your human design. And when you notice that, you start to also notice how the strategies of navigating your human design are also so effective this week. So there is a lot of power behind the energy of human design helping us navigate this week as well. The transformations, the mini deaths, the rebirths, the renewals, okay? And just as a last kind of note here, we are moving from April to May. And April's annual card from the annual card reading at the beginning of the year was renewal. And we felt that. We felt ourselves renewing our passions, our purpose, our direction, our perspective, our emotional energy, our spiritual connection. We renewed it all. And now we're moving from renewal into the May card, which is the matrix. The matrix. And the energy I'm getting from this is that we're going to see how many people are so connected to the matrix still, how many people are programmed and conditioned. And this isn't to judge, this is just to see that there are still so many anchors within us and others that are connected to the matrix, the energy of conformity, the energy of what you're supposed to do, what you're told to do, how you're told to live, what is deemed most successful, the kind of stereotypical societal definitions for things being amplified and kind of reiterated and pushed upon us. And this is going to call us all forward to really decide who we really are. And honor a way to be that in a beautiful, balanced, and graceful way. This is going to be challenging. This is part of our renewal and rebirth. This is kind of the last phases of our renewal and rebirth that I was talking to you about, with the Scorpio full moon kind of being the catalyst for it. And so expect to have to kind of stand your ground on some things this week. Expect to have to really dive deep into what you really feel for yourself on certain things that have been a little bit of a controversial topic for you, or something that you've been back and forth on. This is a time where we're going to start to get really clear on how we're going to embody our truth and what that really looks like. And it's going to be an energy of a lot of people stepping away from the matrix in more of a way than they've ever been before. And it's going to also be some people that kind of learn to work with the matrix for the highest good in like the best way that they can. That spiritual technology card that I pulled in the Starseed Saturday reading yesterday, you'll see that on my OnlyFans if you subscribe for free. It's a great reading and meditation. And spiritual technology came up. And so this energy of really understanding how we can work with things like technology that are very matrix oriented, but use them for the highest good for the spiritual growth and evolution of humanity that we want to see. And so there's a blend of that as well. There'll be some people that say, forget the matrix, I don't want anything to do with any technology, anything, I'm going off the grid. Some people will be like, listen, I hear you, I feel that, but I also know how I can work with this to make it really beneficial for people. And then there's going to be some people who just jump even deeper into the matrix, into the programming, and push away and resist anything outside of that. And so it's going to be an interesting transformation that we're going to see in the world with this movement of energy into May. So pay attention to that as well. And this is part of the mass consciousness rebirth and renewal that's happening. Now, Scorpio full moon, let's talk about it. The Scorpio full moon is tomorrow, and tomorrow night I'll be going live with my love on IG for a conscious conversation moon talk all about the Scorpio full moon. And you're definitely going to want to tune into this one, because Chad is a Scorpio. I'm a Gemini. I've learned a lot about Scorpios because I've been with one now, and it's a lot of energy. And so I think you're going to get a lot out of watching tomorrow's moon talk, because you'll be able to hear straight from Scorpio, a little bit more about this energy. And I think that'll be great. And of course, I'll be asking them all the questions to get them to talk all about it. So the first message about the Scorpio full moon is rebirth. And of course, this has been like the most repeated word, I feel like, the last several weeks, but it's still happening, and we've got to keep talking about it. And it can get a little bit annoying, especially when you're going through it. But the best thing about the Scorpio full moon that it shows us is that rebirth always makes us better. And it particularly makes Scorpios better. And that's something that they just have a knack for, even if they don't want to, even if they don't like going through the many deaths that cause the rebirths. They always do. And every time they do, they emerge like a phoenix rising. They become so much more vibrant and brilliant and skilled and wise and successful. And so we're going to feel that same energy for us with the Scorpio full moon influence. So as we progress through the last few cycles of rebirth and renewal in our lives this year, we're going to notice that we are better afterwards, and we are kind of deeper in our gifts, and we are more wise, and that's going to feel good. And so we will see hindsight 2020, and we will recognize that it feels good to have that awareness. So cling to that a little bit to help you get through the death feeling, the mini death feeling, because mini deaths, especially for Scorpios, can be excruciating because they're a water sign and they feel it all in their emotional body. And it's so painful emotionally. And that's that internal death, that suffering and silence, that kind of deep excruciating emotional pain that causes an ego death, a mini death, a shedding of energy, of ego, and of energy and structure of our mind and spirit and heart that just hasn't been serving us. And letting that go can be really hard for Scorpios because it's just the energy of change can be really hard. So recognizing how we may be also going through our own emotional kind of turmoil in the midst of change, and allowing ourselves to just internally reflect, notice what's going on internally. If there's storms and heaviness internally, journal about it, channel it into something creative, talk to a supportive friend about it, go get a healing session. These are the ways that we can kind of process that through without kind of having it consume us. Partake in plant medicines if you're feeling that way, if you're called. These are the ways that we can really move through that energy. Now, Scorpios also have emotional depths that also unlock wisdom, and they do have emotional depths, but we talked about that. But they have emotional depths as well, deep emotions that unlock wisdom. And so their emotions give even more information than most. And this is the same for empaths and other water signs as well. But Scorpios have a little bit more of that information, that ability to translate information that's heavier or darker, more of the underworld energy. That's what the Scorpio energy is really ruling, is the underworld. And it's a connection of shadow work in its most truest form. And so understanding the wisdom behind the emotional depths and doing the shadow work will also be such a great way to effectively use the energy of the Scorpio full moon. Acceptance of change allows adventure. So that's the next kind of spiritual taking away of the Scorpio full moon, is that when we can accept change, even though sometimes it's hard to, especially with the Scorpio influence, when change is accepted, an adventure is created. And the adventure is fun and exciting and exhilarating and activating. And it's expanding us into new phases of growth and new parts of ourselves we haven't gotten to explore yet, and new parts of the world we haven't gotten to explore yet. And it can be so fun when we accept the changes. And that's how the alchemy is performed of the Scorpio full moon and of the Scorpio energy. The ability to release the fears, release the doubts, and release the judgments that are keeping us from just accepting the changes, accepting the transformation, accepting the many deaths, accepting the rebirth. And that through that acceptance, through that just embracing, the alchemy happens and things become better. And it teaches us to celebrate the spectrum. Scorpios are so great at that because they understand all the frequencies. A lot of us like to get stuck in the positive energies where we're only focused on that, and that's beautiful. But then when the heavier energies hit us, we don't know what to do because we haven't let ourselves feel that or acknowledge that part of the spectrum in a while. Scorpios acknowledge all of the parts of the spectrum and they honor it all. And so they teach us how to do that too, so that we can really understand how we can react and move gracefully and move and work with the energy of all of the spectrum. And so we may be stubborn on that, but we shouldn't be, because it's helpful to honor the spectrum, because it allows us to be more diverse and multidimensional and It allows us to have more awareness and an open mind and relate more to every different part of our experience in our life. And it also helps us to appreciate the hard times and the good times, and to not like one over the other, but instead to just appreciate all experience for what it is. So the Scorpio full moon is going to be a little bit of a doozy, but it's only going to be a doozy if you let it, because it's really about your awareness and acceptance of what you're experiencing and your reaction to it from that. That is going to make the difference in your experience with the Scorpio full moon. Okay. So let me know how you're feeling from those messages. And of course, last thing I want to do before we pull cards is just chat a little bit about the other astrological influences. So we'll start with today. And these are all astrological influences that are also, of course, interacting with the moon, because the moon is happening tomorrow. So today, 425, we have Mercury in Taurus squares Jupiter in Aquarius. This is an energy where we're feeling like kind of a strong and bold communication, even sometimes unexpected strong and bold communication from ourselves, starts to show us what we need to do or understand that can help us expand in our unique essence. So we start to learn what parts of our voice are unique and powerful, and what parts of our voice are unique but maybe a little triggering, or a little bit aggressive, or a little bit out of balance. And that's going to help us kind of recreate a new vibration in our communication, which will be necessary and helpful for our abundance as well. Now, Mercury and Venus, conjunct Venus and Taurus, bringing in more Venus influence from last week, which we had so much. And this energy is going to help us express more trust and devotion and love. This is going to be a great energy to receive and to give. And this is going to be great for those of you who have just needed some words of affirmation or connection in that way. You'll most likely get more of that support and connection through that influence tomorrow, actually, today and tomorrow. So Mercury in Venus, conjunct Venus in Taurus is today, moving into tomorrow, and Mercury in Taurus square Jupiter is also today, moving into tomorrow. Now the 26th, which is tomorrow, we already talked about the full moon in Scorpio, transformation, some issues surfacing for healing and rebirth, which is necessary. And then 427, which is Tuesday, Pluto goes retrograde for 5 months, you guys, in Capricorn. And this is where we're going to be reviewing lots of lessons from our past year and year before that is necessary for our constructive progress forward. So these are where we start to get really analytical and kind of aware of what we learned and how we are embodying it, and what we can do to really use what we've learned to strategize the best outcome moving forward. And so this is a good energy, and that's why it's so important to relax the mind, because if the mind is confused or tense or chaotic, it's going to be coming from a place that's out of balance when you're actually doing the work to review your lessons. And then you're going to end up kind of having a really sloppy, kind of result of what you're meant to learn. Now, the last thing I want to mention on astrological influences is on May 2nd, which is where Mercury is in Taurus, trine Pluto in Capricorn. And this is where it will be really nice to start discussing more uncomfortable topics or things that are just a little bit more triggering, because you'll have some support from the stars to make it a more graceful communication. That Mercury in Taurus is really good at helping us speak about things from our heart that we've maybe been a little bit resistant in saying. Gives us a bold speech from our heart. It lets us speak boldly from our heart. So uncomfortable things are easier. We're able to speak on it. Even with that Mercury and Venus, conjunct Venus and Taurus today, we're more active in speaking our love. And I also want to mention real quick, on Friday, 423, I did talk about this last week, but I want to remind you, because this is going to happen for another 5 weeks, Mars in Cancer. And this is where we are going to feel a little bit more emotional. So be careful not to act too much on emotions, because that may get you caught up, especially if you're a water sign, okay? Air signs have been feeling it too. I've been feeling that one too, but I have a Cancer moon. So pay attention to your moon sign, because your moon sign is where your emotional body is most active. And if you have a water moon sign, then you're going to be feeling that Mars and Cancer energy a lot more. All right, everybody. So let's go ahead and pull some cards. I like to do a little chime because it feels good. Letting ourselves receive the energy before we pull some cards. Beautiful. All right, let's go ahead and pull our first card of the week coming from the Angels of Atlantis deck. Now, I just wanted to mention in my announcements, I did do that 420 live on 420. That was really, really fun. Watched our video separate. I spilled some tea about the drama of the creation of that video last year. Finally felt comfortable to talk about it and had the platform to feel comfortable to talk about it. So that was great. And then I also announced my new album, the date, the title, the actual cover I just announced as well on my Instagram and on my OnlyFans. So make sure to check that out as well. And last thing, you guys, for announcements, here we go. Whoop, hold on, this card's coming up. Last thing for announcements is that I'm revamping my e-list. So if you haven't joined my e-list, I'm going to start sending out a lot more updates, a lot more communication, a lot more reminders of events and things that I post on different platforms. So please, 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 I also include offers on there. And I've got some really exciting things that I'm going to be sharing with you in the next coming months. And you are going to want to be on the e-list because they will find out first. So if you haven't joined my e-list, definitely do that. It'll be in the link in this video once it uploads. All right, we already got our beginning of the week. Here's our middle of the week card popping up. Last card, end of the week card, and we'll also do a full moon card, but for now, end of the week card. There it is. And let's do moon card from the Voyager deck. Transformation. Good. All right. I'm going to do the moon card first because it's tomorrow. All right. Full moon in Scorpio card is the star. The star. This is a beautiful card because this is letting us know. Gosh, that light is so bright. There we go. This is letting us know that we are starting to become the star of our own life. We're starting to really appreciate our star power, our essence, our unique vibration, and we're starting to use it to our advantage to help us be the best that we can be. And we talked about this. So the transformations we're experiencing with this full moon in Scorpio are going to help us become our truest versions, the stars that we are meant to be, the star power that we are meant to have. We're going to step into with this full moon from the transformations we experience from it. Such a beautiful card. Also recognizing our starseed qualities this full moon and how we're activated cosmically. So make sure to check out that starseed Saturday meditation that I did yesterday on my OnlyFans because it talks all about that too. All right, beginning of the week card is abundance. Abundance. This is such a good card. This is one of my favorite cards ever, of course, because it represents just prosperity and connection to fulfillment and satisfaction and joy. And so Archangel Uriel comes through with this card, and it just really allows us to feel more certain of the things we've asked for, that they are on the way, and that our prayers are going to be answered the more that we allow ourselves to accept change, do the shadow work, and keep moving forward with all the skills and wisdoms we've gained. Middle of the week card. If you've been looking for liberation more than abundance, don't fret. You're also going to tap more into that as a result of the rebirth in the Scorpio full moon. So we are going to have not only prosperity, but also the feeling of freedom and expansion and liberation. No longer feeling weighed down or tied back from what we are meant to have and receive. So beautiful. Last card, biggest energy to help fuel even more of this abundance, liberation, and this star power is to have an attitude and energy of playfulness. Playfulness. I don't know if you can see that, but it's playfulness. And there's these little cherub angels. It's so cute on the card, just letting you be curious and adventurous and have fun. Remember, letting yourself appreciate the things that are changing and accepting change to allow adventure. And that will really help you to move through everything that's going on this week with the best and most productive grace and mindset and attitude and energy. Okay? How do you feel? Let me know how these messages have resonated with you. Thank you so much for watching. If this was your first time watching, please make sure you subscribe and like this video so you can get notifications for all future videos. And if you're a vet to this channel, make sure you also tap into my other platforms, Instagram, where I do the moon talks, which I will be doing one tomorrow evening with my love Chad. We'll be posting on my story today about what time. And I also really, really encourage all of you who have been watching my channel for a while, hop onto my OnlyFans. I'm putting a ton of content up there, from fun, sexy little videos about my pole skills that I just reactivated, which I'm super excited. Those videos are more private and things like that, but I've been putting them up because I've just been feeling so much more freedom to express myself. And so they're not too crazy sexy, but they are, a little bit more racy, a little bit more fun, a little bit more flirty. But then I'm also diving into more topics about shadow work. I'm also diving into things about my own personal story growing up with intuitive gifts and now becoming a professional intuitive and intuitive coach. I'm also on there talking about sensuality and activation of your essence and the ability to be free to just create and be who you were created to be in this world. I'm even diving deep into my preps for my album, my new album that's dropping on June 6th, my birthday. And I've been spilling the tea on some of the older songs that I created from Spirit Junkie. So there's just a ton on there, y'all. And I'm constantly asking my OnlyFans audience through the polls what they want to see and what they're really excited for me to bring forth. And so I'd love to deep dive into what you want as well, and to just deepen our connection in this web of light community that we're building, so I can really just continue to serve and show up for you in the ways that you are wanting and needing. So thank you again for showing up today, and I hope I can see you again next week for another weekly reading. Next week I will be back in Arizona, so I'm super excited to be tuning in from the desert. I will see you then, and have a wonderful day. Peace.